Everyone. Today, before I start, I just want to share a small story with you. An empress with no children decided to hold a competition to determine who would succeed her when she died. She summoned all the children in the city to her place and gave each one a seed. Then she said, plant this seed, care for it, and in 1 year, bring back the flower that grows from it. Whoever brings me the most beautiful flower will be the next empress. One young girl planted her seed in a pot and watered it every day, but nothing grew. At the end of the year, she was devastated. But on the day set for the inspections of the flowers, she picked up her pot and carried it to the palace. All the other children also bought colorful, vibrant flowers, but the empress only glanced at them. She walked straight to the young girl and smiled. And she said, all the seeds what I have given to you is boiled and dead. Only you were the honest enough to bring back the original seed I gave. So you will be the next empress. In real life, do you think that if you tell the truth, you would get reward? Maybe it depends on the situations. Maybe it's a yes. Most of the time, it's a no. So, in this course, Fundamentals of Management, we won't teach you what is to be said. We will tell you how organizations run, what are the main functions of organizations, what an organization looks from you. We'll give you all the wisdom. Then you decide whether you should go ahead with the truth or you should know how to manage the situations. With this, I'm sharing the contents of fundamentals of management with you all. Hope you can see this. This fundamentals of management designed by Centurion University of Technology and Management. This course has 3 credits in theory. We don't have a practice session, however, we have a project. This is the credit. The course code is 1209. And when we are talking about this, basic introductions of fundamentals of management, here in this 4 modules, what we are going to teach you, we are going to introduce you about management, and its necessary elements. Of course, the skills that required to apply these management principles, how you can apply these principles in the real life situations, analyzing the management issues and problems that is there in the organizations, and understanding the concepts. How would you formulate realistic, practical plans to resolve all the management issues and problems that persist in an organization? This program also will help you to become an efficient manager and a successful entrepreneur. At the end of this course, you would be able to understand what and how employees get motivated, understand and apply leadership and motivational theories, because theories gives a build-up, understand the use of roles when you are working as a team, because in organizations, you cannot accomplish anything all by yourself. So how should you work on a team? What would be the role of each member? That also we will discuss. We need to understand the basic communication process. When we are talking about management, we are talking about managerial roles, we are talking about managers. We also need to understand the predominant decision making style. We also need to distinguish various forms of organizations that exist in our society, and we need to appreciate why there are different forms that exist. We also need to apply appropriate managerial principles and theories on the work front. These are the learning outcomes of fundamentals of management. Today, I'm giving you the basics, the overview of this program. This is the module structure, types of organizations, evaluation of management theories, managerial functions, and overview of planning. Before I proceed, I would like to share a small story with you, and I'm sure that you people must heard about this story. So the story goes like this: three fishes lived in a pond. One name was Plan Ahead. The second fish name was Think Fast, and the third fish name was Wait and See. One day they heard a fisherman say that he is be going to catch all the fish of this particular pond the next day. So the first fish, hope you remember the name, Plan Ahead, said, I'm swimming down to the river tonight itself. Think first, the second fish, he said, I'm sure I'll come up with a plan. Third fish, no, third fish. Remember the name? Wait and See. The lazy one? The fish said, I just can't think about it now. I'll just wait and see what is happening. Then, as for the plan, the fisherman came the next day. He cast his net. Plan Ahead was able to escape as per the plan before night. Think First and Wait See are the fishes. They were there, and unfortunately, they were caught by the fisherman. Think First, the fish, was very clever, and he quickly rolled his belly up and pretend that he is dead. So the fisherman thought that this is a dead fish and this is not fresh and this will not be good. What he did is he just thrown it back to the water. The third fish, hope you remember the name, Wait and See, was just waiting and see what is next going to happen in this process. He ended up in the fish market. That is why people say that in time of danger, when the net is being casted, they are going to catch, fine, they are going to catch you. At that point of time, how would you do? Whether you will think fast on the same moment, or you will plan ahead, or you will just wait and see. It's up to you. So, thinking that in mind, what I have suggested, and I mostly follow this in my sessions, I go ahead with the last module in my mind. I first started that overview of planning. Then I go with this managerial functions. Then I go with different school of thoughts on this management theories. And fourth, we normally share or discuss different types of organizations that prevails in the market. Module 4, what I basically said, it is all about planning. So here we will discuss types of plans, the planning process, decision-making process, different types and techniques, controlling functions, process and different types of control. In the second part of this module, we'll discuss principles of organizing, common organization structures, what is delegations, what is decentralizations, its factors affecting the extent of decentralizations, process and principles of delegations. In the next module, We are going to talk about managerial functions, managerial skills, managerial roles, and yes, insights from Indian practices and ethics. Next module, I'm going to talk about different school of thoughts, different theories, pre-scientific era, scientific management theory, administrative management theory, bureaucratic management theory, human relations, behavioral school of thoughts. This is the third module I'm going to talk, and module one I'm going to talk at the last. Types of organizations, and there we are going to understand government, market, civil society, basic forms of business ownership, special forms of ownership, what is franchising, what is licensing, what is leasing, choosing a form of business ownership, corporate expansion, mergers, acquisitions, diversifications, forward and backward integrations, joint ventures, and strategic alliances. Hope so far my planning of the course and how it should go is clear to you all. Now, at the end, as I already discussed, this is of 3 credit and we have a project. So these are suggested projects that you people can go ahead. And going forward, we can also discuss number of projects for you people. So as in when the course is in progressing, the project would be shared with you. Now here, if we talk about management, I would definitely, bring back the example of, this classic example of Tata Nano, Cyrus Mistry and Ratan Tata. This Tata Nano was the brainchild of Ratan Tata with the objective to give vehicle to those who can't afford within 1 lakh. And Ratan Tata planned his succession and he has given Cyrus Mistry is his role to lead the management. And after a few years, Cyrus Mistry closed the productions of Tata Nano. Though there are multiple factors, but what he said majorly that Tata Nano is not a profit-making unit, so we should close it. And we all know what happened next. When we are talking about success of any management, you name about Tata, you name about this Airtel launching of this 5G plan, you talk about Geo, you talk about the Xiaomi, you talk about the success stories of any good organizations, you talk about the success stories of any universities, any educational institutions, you talk about the success stories of this multiple IITs and AMs, those who could able to make it top. You could talk about success, any small firms and all. Whatever success you are talking about, it basically depends on these 5 factors. The key factor here is, as you see, is a man, is a person. This is very much important because an organization may be small, an organization may be of medium size, an organization may be a large organization. In an organization, there might be 5 people who are working. In an organization, might be 50,000 people are working. How are you managing them? This is very much important. So success of management depends on number one is man. Here, I won't say woman, man, I would say man, and it's theoretically, technical, it's a person. Next is how are you handling with the machineries? How are you dealing with this machineries? If you are in a production setup, if you are in a manufacturing setup, these machineries are very much important. And how this is important, we will also discuss over a period of time. Third, as says Gandhiji, most important in a currency, money. That is very much important for a business because it talks about investment. It talks about expansion. It talks about growth. With this, we also talks about the fourth aspect, that is materials. So Success of any organizations depends on, if you are working in a manufacturing setup, if you're working in a production setup, your output depends on the quality of materials you are using. And certainly, low grade would be acceptable, but no low quality will not be acceptable. So, being a manager, you also need to finalize, this different materials, how you are handling them. And yes, last but not the least is the methods, is the strategy. In today's era, most of us, we talks about additive manufacturing, we talks about 3D printing. These are the technologies, and utilizing these technologies, many organizations get success. Again, I'll give you the relevance of these five M's in that context. First of all, let me give you example, like if I'm wearing this particular dress and this is, a single color, monocolor. Now, if I want to give it a special look, I can give it a 3D look, but for that, I should understand the technology well. So I should have knowledge of applications. Second, I should have that machineries ready, which prints this 3D technology on a particular apparel. Now, how many machines, size of machines, number of productions, it all depends based on the investment you have. At the same time, for if I talk about this apparel, what quality, what kind of quality material you are going to take, that is very much important. And last but not the least is strategies. How are you going to apply these technologies, your methods? What are your plans to sell them? What are your plans to generate more revenues? This all depends on this. So if you are a small entrepreneur, you need to work on these five M's to get success. So these are few fundamental things. Before start of this fundamentals of management, you should have these concepts clear in your mind so that going ahead, you would follow exactly what are the essence of all these things. These are a few famous persons, management, and they come up with a definition. What Peter Drucker is saying, management is doing the things right. Now there is a difference. Leadership is doing the right things. So if you talk about management, it is all about doing the things right. This is very much difficult. All the time, we can't make all the things right. But if you are a leader and if you want to run a successful organizations, then you have to make things right in first order. Stephen Covey, he talks about management is efficiency in the climbing the ladder of success. Leadership determines whether the ladder is learning against the right wall or not. Yoai Koka, he talks about management is nothing more than motivating other people. So there are various school of thoughts, various persons that talks about management. Here, Henry Fayol talk about to manage is to forecast and plan, to organize, to command, to coordinate, and to control. Here, F.W. Taylor, he talks about management is an art of knowing what to do. Here, there is a debate whether management is an art or science. That also we are going to discuss. When to do and see that is done in the best and the cheapest way. So this basically talks about profit generation. How are you going to apply this? This is again your applications of management. So here, before we proceed, I just want to share one thing. The content of today is not touching the modules in details. However, we are going to discuss the basic fundamentals of management. These are, you can say, those pillars, these foundations. Without this, if you grow the pillars, the building will not be that strong. So this is just, making your knowledge base, strong enough. So management, it can be defined as multiple things. It can be defined as a process, because it need to start from somewhere, it need to follow a specific direction, and it need to come. Management as an activity, bunch of activities, every day in and day out, we are doing this number of activities. Yes, it is a group, it is a discipline, and this is a science, because it involves, certain tools and techniques, strategies. It is an art, because handling people, yes, I would say it is definitely an art. You taught empathy to people, but at the same time, being empathetic is come automatically. You can't taught a person to be empathetic. However, you can talk, you can taught them the right skills and technologies, how you can be empathetic. But whether to become empathetic or not, how can you taste this? Management as a profession, and that's where I am into this picture. That is where you are going into picture. So management is as a profession. So this is in detail we are going to discuss. However, I will not take much time, as I mentioned that this is only a foundation session, where my only objective is to work on the fundamentals of this management before touching the exact subject. So when I talked about management as a process, as I said, it has to start from somewhere, it has to follow a particular direction, and it has to end. So it is a social process, it is all integrated, and it has to come in a continuous process. This process would continue. You can't stop this process. Management as an activity, there are a lot of activities, as I said, day in and day out. There are a lot of informations to be disseminated. So how this information is to be disseminated, what are the things, key things that also we need to discuss. Decisional activities, there are a lot of things we need to decide to take a call on it, which is the best way of dealing with a certificate, like certain problems or issues in organizations. That decisions also need to be taken. Interpersonal activities, as in day in and day out in our organizations, who are we dealing with? Currently, I am here, you are there, you are learning this course. I'm dealing with a person. You might be having, lot of your queries over this. So that how are we going to deal when we all are working on a same platform? This is the boardroom, and here if like 5 to 6 people are there, if I would not be able to cope up with them, if they would not be able to cope up with them, how can we all work together and get the objective done? So we have to be, good. We have to be interpersonal. We should have good interpersonal skill to make management or to perform this as an activity. Management as a group. Here I will, only highlight on few things. Here I would like to say those who are concerned with making important decisions. These authorities, they are the person who mostly uses resources, and they have a responsibilities because they have authorities with them to accomplish organizational objectives. Now, if I'll give you my example, I am designated as an assistant professor, and I have few authorities with myself coming with this designation. With authorities, I have certain responsibilities to be followed, but following those responsibilities cannot be done individually. I have to be part of something. So what is that? That also we are going to discuss. Management is a discipline. Again, here I will just highlight one thing, that if you talk about discipline, this is the only thing which comes 100%. Like, you might have gone through in many forwards. If A equal to 1, B equal to 2, 3, C equal to 3, Z equal to 26. Then there are different attributes, and in that attributes, discipline is one thing which comes 100%. Along with discipline, I am sure you might have heard about this term, attitude, that comes 100%. Let's talk about discipline. If you are working somewhere, whether you are a student, whether I am a professional, or you belongs to any designation, any professional, if you will not follow certain code of conduct, then this would be very much difficult for organizations. If you will not follow certain process, you are not yourself, you are not disciplined, then I'm sure it is not going to be, you are not going to get that success what generally we look for. So discipline is very much important here. As I already mentioned, that management is a science, because in science mostly things are structurized. You know the cause and effect relationship, what causes what. If you talk about oxygen, you talks about elements, hydrogen and oxygen, the number of elements of oxygen, HO2. Now, in the similar way, when we are talking about management as a science, we talk about, it is a systematic approach. You also studies, the cause and effect relationship. Like, let me give you one example. The more time you study, the better result you would get. The more dedicated you are, the better you are in your career growth. So this one causing the other. Test of validity and predictability. Going forward, we will discuss these terms. However, I'm not going to discuss this in the fundamental course. Management as an art. Yes, I could say rather, creativity is a skill, and that can be learned, that can be fostered over years. But at the same time, this is an art also. You can't teach anyone to become creativity. However, you run 100 workshops, 100 workshops and all, but still, this I believe personally that you can't make a people creativity. They are certainly born with these things, and it is an art basically. Perfection through practice. The more you practice, it is good. I read somewhere that if you practice the same thing for 1,000 times, you would be perfect into it. So let's say if the art of driving a bicycle, or art of driving a car, if you do it for 1,000 times, you will become perfect. That is why all of your faculties would ask you to practice. If it is a mathematical subject, then we ask the student to practice more the formulas and all. Goal oriented, yes, you should have a goal in your mind. Attitude, that cannot be taught, that is inside, right? And interest, yes, specifically, you are here till this point, that means you have that interest to learn what is this faculty is saying. Moreover, you have that attitude to learn and grow in life. This cannot be science, this is always an art. So specialized personal skills, like let me tell you, I'm very bad at cracking a joke. Whenever I crack a joke in my class reaction is like, what? So I can say that I'm not good at this particular skill, but however, I'm very good at connecting with people. I'm very good at networking with people. Likewise, you might be having good at something. So every person is specialized in some skills or other. Some people, you can say, very much jugadu in nature. They can arrange each thing, each and everything. So these are not science. These are, of course, the art. Now, coming to arts versus science, I will not, highlight much whatever we have discussed so far. This is only a comparison of arts versus science. I would only say here, when it is coming to art, it is all personal skills, and where it is coming to science, I'll say this should be coming with a systematic approach. Now, management as a profession, you see there are a lot of profession that is coming these days. You say HR manager is there, finance manager is there, marketing manager is there, IT manager is there. There are a lot of managers in this world. So management itself is a profession. Even if you are a CEO of an organization, you need to manage. What is that to be managed? You have specific duties and responsibilities, and like any Tom, Dick, and Harry cannot rise up to that level. So it requires a formal education, for which you people are here, for which I was here. A formal education was there. I was being trained. You are also need to be trained yourself. There are some obligations that need to be highlight, that need to be followed. There are some specific code of conduct that I have followed, that you need to follow. There are multiple people are having multiple representations in various associations. So when we are talking about management as a profession, you need to understand, how this is going to help you, or this program is going to help you in building or developing your profession. Queries are accepted, and I would say that you should go ahead with this. Now, when I talk about criticism of management as a full-fledged profession, here I just would like to say something, that all the managers exactly, they don't do the work in a similar line. So sometimes if you talk about Bill Gates has no formal educations, but still we know the success of Bill Gates, and we are talking about Bill Gates, and many people want to be like him. So when we say that management as a profession, it required formal educations and training. At some point of time, we also saw there are many people, maybe next to you, nearby your society, in your house itself, in your colony itself, you might be founding a person who is very much successful, who have name and fame, but he don't have that qualifications what people are looking for. So at the same time, what I could say that education is very much important. But if you have educations and you don't have a formal training, then also this is very difficult things. Now, managers are responsible to many groups, such as shareholders are there. There are internal shareholder. There are shareholders who is helping in developing the organizations. There are employees. There are society. You need to also manage the stakeholders. Again, when it is coming to stakeholders, there are internal stakeholders. There are external stakeholders, and you need to manage all those stakeholders as well. Now, managers are always known by their performance, and even if they are not formally educated, but if you could able to manage the situations well, could able to get the issues sorted out, then certainly people would identified you. Now, when it is coming to the features of management, I would say management is always goal oriented. When I'm talking about management is a goal oriented, it integrates this human, this physical aspects, and this financial resource into activity. And we also discussed from the beginning that management is a continuous process. So we can't say that today our job is done, tomorrow there is no work. This work should be continuous, and it is all impervasive, that is all encompassing, that is all including in nature. And this is a group activity, because individually we cannot run the organization. So group of people are required. Now, at the end of this, we are closing towards the basic functions or fundamentals of management without touching the syllabus itself. What I talk, why we should learn this, what are the objectives of learning any management program, is we all look forward, maximum results with minimum efforts. We all really wanted to do getting maximum results with less efforts. This is what being taught in management. How you can increase the efficiency in the factors of production. Important thing. You see, sometime there are electricity gone. So either you go for a generator, or you go for an inverter, or you look for the organization those who are manufacturing, producing electricity power. So how much power to be produced so that you will not have power cut at any point of time. I got easily irritated whenever the lights were off. So, how we can increase the efficiency of factors of production? So, there are some problems. How are you going to help it? How are you going to address it? Maximum prosperity for employers and employees. If I'll talk about my side, being an employer, I always look for my prosperity, my benefits, my growth, my career development. At the same time, this employers, they also look for the organizational development. So if I, being an employee, have the rights to develop myself, looking for prosperity, organizations, the senior managers, the actual owner of these organizations, they also have every rights to think about prosperity, and that to a maximum level. The objectives of management also involves this betterment of human. Look, I want to be better. I always want to be the best version of myself, how I can make myself better, and having social justice. And the stories, the concepts, whatever we have discussed so far, we are here till now. That means we are looking forward to learn something from this particular course. So, what are the importance of management? It helps sometime in achieving the group goals, the organizational goal at sometimes, optimum utilization of resources. Going forward, we have a convocation here, first convocation here in our university, in this particular branch, and a number of people are working to get this successful with a reduced cost. How we can establish a very good organizations, we can be equal for all, we can give justice to all, and moreover, the societies. Here I would like to end the session, but yes, before ending the session, I also would like to share few references of textbook that you should follow. So this is few textbook that you should buy. Either you can have an electronic copy, or you can have buy it next to you and keep it, because my way of learning from any book is I find it comfortable if a book is next to my bed, and I mark lines in that. So you may decide to buy any of it, or you can just obtain it from any e-library. So I'm sure you are here. That means till now you have some queries. So if you have some queries, there are process to follow. You kindly follow those process and you get to me for those queries. And here I'm Dr. Madhusmita Choudhury signing out from you all from the first session. And here I basically discussed about the structure of management plan, fundamentals of management course, how I am planning the session, why we should learn this, what, how, and why. So, in the next session, we'll start with the first as per the discussion plan. Till then, thank you and enjoy. Have a great time ahead.